Hey YouTube, what is going on? It's Huncho here, back with another Fortnite fundamentals video. Before we start the video, I just want to say we're about 600 subscribers away from me releasing my NVIDIA inspector profile. And also in that video, I'm going to show how to properly install a graphics driver with the least amount of input delay. We haven't had any clips yet. I'm not going to do it obviously if I don't get any clips, but I want to see if you guys are interested in this. Hashtag HunchoFam on Twitter and on Instagram, and I'm going to create like a montage style video for you guys. It doesn't have to be like crazy cool clips like pro level, but I think it'll be cool for you guys to see your name on the screen and just your clips out to a different amount of subscribers than you might already have. One more thing I do want to say before we start this video is my next two videos on Friday and then Monday. Friday is going to be an FPS boost video to help eliminate micro stutters in this season. And on Monday, it's going to be lowering input delay on controller and keyboard. Some different tricks that I found through registry edits and different interrupt priorities. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, because you're not going to want to miss those videos for this season. Okay, so on to this video. I'm going to go over, I know that a lot of people have done videos on like the damage between the different types of shotguns. I'm just going to show like the damage on the screen really quick. What I'm going to go over in this video is the different kind of playstyles depending on what gun you have in your shotgun slot. Whether it's the pump, the charge, or the combat. Because a lot of times early in games, you don't get a choice of which gun you want to use, and you have to adapt to the playstyle of that gun. And if you try to use it a certain way, you're going to die 90% of the time. So I'm going to go over the ways to use it and which gun you should use if it fits your playstyle and the way that you should use each gun. So the difference between the pump and the charge is mainly on playstyle. It's going to be the way that you attack your opponent and how you're taking your peek shots or your jump shots. So if you're coming over your build like this, you're definitely going to want to use the pump to take your shots. Because I'll show you what happens when you use a charge. Ready? Way more damage. But 95% of the time, that person hears this sound and they build. Rather, you do that quick shot and you do quick damage to them. Obviously, I'm not hitting them straight in the body. But so obviously the charge does more damage. But to take a quick shot without getting shot back and making sure you hit them before they build, the pump is just way sneakier of a gun to get your shot off. But if you're a type of player that plays from a box a lot and does like window peeks, even the top corner edit, using the charge early in the game is way better because you can do this and charge up and hit for 120. Now it's supposed to do 54. If you're the type of player that's very aggressive early in the game and likes to hit a bunch of edits before they shoot, you're going to want to use the pump over the charge. Just because if I do that same thing to try to hit hard, that's an extra second where you're going to get shot back and you can't build a wall. Or if you're the type of player that likes to come around builds and build walls after you shoot, I find that if you do this a lot with a charge, you'll go like this and you won't shoot. That's one way to get yourself to make sure you shoot every time, is to use the pump. Obviously it's significantly less damage rather than doing this and charging up. So again, early game, slow playstyle, playing in a box, use a charge. If you're in trios and you're like the more of a support player, you're not leading the fights, you're not the fragger, use the charge, especially if you play slow as a team. Because if you're peeking from a box and say your teammate is in this box right here, and the opponent comes and pickaxes the wall right here, you can go and hit him for a lot harder. I'll show you the damage difference. 91 compared to 60. Okay, so now we're on to the greens versus the combat. So as I was showing, you open up a wall and you're hitting them for 50 in the body. I'm focusing on body shots because the majority of the time you hit someone in the body, not the head. So it's the same thing, same idea. If you're a slow style player that plays out of a box and likes to peek windows, use the charge. Just look at that difference compared to the pump. And combat, obviously, is only 50. If you're aggressive again, I highly recommend using the pump. you can just do significantly more damage and reset your builds, or build way quicker because you don't have to worry about that charge time. So now that I have all 3 guns in my inventory, I'm going to show you the different playstyles when you're using each gun. So combat playstyle. If you're the type of player that likes to crank to height in your fights, and now I'm up here looking down on my opponent. Combat is usually the best for this, because no matter how far you are, most of the time they're going to be like within this range of you when you're shooting them, and you're going to get that 50 body shot, as opposed to the pump. I would say that is one of the only reasons the combat is effective. That, and if in trios you are the player that carries 3 heals, being able to shoot fast can help do quick damage to your opponent if you only have 2 guns, as opposed to a pump where obviously you're doing this before you switch to your AR or whatever other gun you're using. Anytime you're using a charge and your opponent's on high ground, these are the peaks you want to take. You can charge it up and then take your shot before you're there. If you're in the box and he's on your wall, open a window and charge it from behind the wall so he can't shoot you. If you open this window right here, he's going to shoot you in the face before you even charge up your shotgun. So the key is, if you're, say, right here in this box and you want to edit the middle window, because you know you won't be able to shoot him from right here without getting shot back. When you first click edit, already start moving to your left. So boom, I'm like this, and now he can't shoot. Charge up, shoot. So the window peek, the jump shot, are the 2 most effective charge shots. So now the playstyle that's most effective with the pump is you're going to be your most aggressive players. Players that are now, you're pushing someone's box and you seal their wall. I crank up on my opponent and boom. If I do that same exact move with a charge, see that extra second? In that time that you can switch, you can shoot your pump shotgun, you can already switch to your AR or your sub or whatever you're going to shoot again, and that charge just shot the gun. So not only are you getting that 80 to 160 damage with the green pump, but you're also getting an extra shot off with your AR in that time that the charge is doing damage. So even though you're like, well, my charge hits so much harder, if you're playing aggressive, always use the pump. So the other move that is very effective with the pump rather than the charge, if you're good at doing the peanut butter peek, if you see like box fighters do this move a lot, it's a lot easier to not get shot if you're using the pump rather than using the charge. See how I was in the air longer before I can shoot, whereas now in the combat in that situation, you're just doing no damage, and now you hit them and now they're panicking and now you have to push their builds. So if you're not a 0 ping player, I would almost never use the combat if you're an aggressive player. Because if you do damage and now you have to take their wall, you're giving them opportunities to fight you if you know that you're not going to be able to steal their wall very fast. One last tip I want to say, if you have a blue charge or a blue pump in your game, always upgrade it to a purple. Let me show you the damage difference here. 89, 84, 93. Headshot, 170 versus 128. 160, 128. 162, 137. That headshot difference between that purple pump and that blue pump is just such a big difference. Obviously, if you're a slow style player and you still want to use the charge, go for it. Because it obviously does a lot of damage if you're peeking something and you come around, as opposed to the purple pump. That's like 50 extra damage. The problem I run into when I'm using the charge though, is if I do significant damage to someone when I'm peeking this wall, boom, I hit him for 110, I have to push his box, and I don't have 0 ping in game. I only have like 25, so if that player has 0 ping, I'm having a hard time getting into his box without having to exploit and expose myself.